Thanks for including my input into these workshops, putting this discussion into context. This is about fighting climate change for me. We are focusing on the ways we as individuals can help. The focus of this workshop is on what we do in the kitchen, and I'll go over what we're doing at our house in a moment, but I also want to point out what else a household besides related to food, what else a household can do about climate change. So other ways a household can fight climate change. So these are the things that we're actually putting into practice now. Double paned windows to retain the internal temperature. That was a requirement when we were house hunting up here in 2017. Using alternative transportation for errands like biking, walking, or mass transit. So we happen to own a couple of e-bikes and we love them. It makes going up and down these hills a lot easier. Solar power, we happen to have free access to solar panels, and my boyfriend, OSUP as he is called, opposite sex unmarried partner. He has experience with installation, so that kept our costs down, which is good. And we don't qualify for rebates because of our pine trees. So we also have a hybrid car, and we installed LEDs wherever we could. And we do write to our representatives, probably not as often as we should, but I think that's important to make this more of a public issue, of a mainstream issue. So as Rihanna said, making a campaign out of social media about these things that are your pet peeves when it comes to fighting climate change is all appreciated. And using social media, joining community groups such as these, as we have in Rogue Valley, and eating locally, and I'll go more into that later, and then reduce meat consumption to lower the demand for livestock feed. So Rihanna pointed out pretty clearly last week how a lot of our food just gets fed to the livestock. So that's not a good use of our land. And then using electric wherever possible. There's our solar panels, and nice shady day. And then here's our apple cellar. That's from Ashland, Oregon. That's our buying locally. And that's our all-electric gold medallion home that we moved into. So we're on track. Inside the kitchen, there is much that we've changed, but we didn't do it all at once. We've been eating organic for a lot of years, and I highly recommend that as a priority first step. By eating organic, we stay healthier. Preservatives and pesticides are not constructive to our individual systems, and over time they're not good for the environment in the volumes that we're currently using them in. So 100 years ago, just think about that, everything was organic 100 years ago. So it's not that difficult of a stretch to go back to it. If demand for organic goes up, then supply will go up and the prices will start to fall, because I know that's an issue for a lot of folks. When we moved here in 2017, we had this little side yard patch, and that was covered with gravel, and we gave the gravel away to a neighbor, and we're trying to use this area as our vegetable garden. And we saw that our plants struggled and our eggplants were tiny. That's a real small bottle of Tabasco sauce, so that'll give you an idea what they look like. And our watermelon was smaller than a tennis ball, but we have plans for developing the garden further, so I'll go into that in a moment. Since getting involved with Emerging Futures and Southern Oregon Food Solutions in the fall of 2019, not all of our kitchen habits changed right away. I was helping Southern Oregon Food Solutions migrate all their information that they had gathered to their new website, and helping to get their brochure to be print ready. And I was reading and reviewing all of this information. So that's really when it kind of kicked in to a deeper level. And again, began to get more articles about composting into my news feed. And so I have to thank algorithms for that. And then regenerative agriculture and reducing food waste, started really seeming to me to get more of a mainstream issue. And then in May, my mom came to live with us because of COVID-19, and she's a vegetarian. So we've been eating a lot more vegetarian recipes, and we like the cooking process. So I get help in the kitchen. My take on cooking is that it's about the journey, not the destination. Sometimes it's nice to be in the kitchen by myself making the meal, but most of the time we're all having fun and improvising and kidding around and making, feeling good that we're contributing to the meal, and we can laugh about our mistakes and talk about how we could have done it better. All of this, I just wanted to bring that background into my zero waste kitchen spiel. So we look at what we're low on when we go to write up the shopping list. I was not upset, but embarrassed when I came home from the store one time and found that I had 4 containers of cottage cheese. So it's always important to look into the fridge to see what you're low on before you go. Don't just assume. And there's always room for improvement. We talk about what we feel like making, and when I need inspiration, I look to the pictures in the cookbooks that we have, and we've got a lot of really interesting ones. And then we plan on cooking every other day so that the leftovers will get absorbed on the in-between days. And we're careful not to be too spontaneous about eating out or grabbing takeout, because there's too many leftovers get generated from that, and it'll delay the foods that really need to get eaten. We have an Eat Me First drawer in our refrigerator, and one thing we need to work on is condiments. The mustard and jam, it uses up a lot of shelf space, but at least we try and corral them so that, we start off with 2 boxes. Now we've got 5. So it's getting worse, not better, but we have to work on that. Anyway, I am attracted to beautiful fruits and vegetables, so I definitely apply a little restraint when I'm at the store or the farmer's market, and I don't go to the store when I'm hungry. So that's just a key for me. And then here's the part that plays the key role in our kitchen. It's the compost bucket. So we started composting service with Rogue Produce in 2019. And their 2 restrictions are no store labels on the peels of food and no meat or bones whatsoever. So everything else is okay. Coffee grounds, eggshells, all that is fine. As I mentioned, we have this little sad side yard strip that we are hoping to turn into a garden. We clearly need to amend the soil some more. So we're going to build our own compost system, and we wanted to keep supporting the service that we do have. So we wrote a letter to our neighbors introducing ourselves, and we also included a Southern Oregon Food Solutions brochure, and we handed 25 of those letters out to our neighbors. And so now every week we have little containers showing up on our doorstep on Wednesday mornings, waiting for Rogue Produce to come pick it up. So that turned out nice. People were appreciative, and so we're keeping the service going, even though hopefully eventually we'll start our own compost. I also want to say that improvising meals is great. A lot of times we are caught short, and we do what we call a RCO stir fry, which stands for refrigerator clean out. So whatever vegetables need to get eaten goes into a stir fry, and with some tofu, and you serve it over rice or in a sauce on pasta, and it's great. So even though, we didn't grow wonderful vegetables, my sister did, and she lives here in Ashland. And so we would make great pasta sauce with the tomatoes. We would make peach pie, and we froze a lot of peaches to put into smoothies or to make peach cobbler later on. So anyway, so this spring, we also started pitching in to help the community surplus go to feed the unhoused. So we're part of the Monday meals, and we were doing egg salad sandwiches. We just started, so this is one meal distribution. We had some extra surplus. People were contributing after the fire, so we added cookies and chips and watermelon for that. There's our normal weekly. The coordinator of the Monday meals, she provides the eggs and the mayonnaise and the bread, and we supply the mustard and the relish and the sandwich bags. Our leftover bread goes to chickens, and plus we've gotten pretty good at making homemade croutons. And we've gone from using plastic bags to ones that are recyclable, compostable. So one piece of infrastructure that makes zero waste kitchen work, besides the refrigerator and the compost bucket, is the storage containers. So we have a variety of sizes that are reusable, and we recently bought into the Rogue to Go program, where you buy into the system at participating restaurants, and you get these marvelous green containers, the one in the center there. And whenever you get takeout, you tell them, oh, I'm part of Rogue to Go, and you turn in your bucket, your clean bucket, to them. And then when you get takeout, they give you back a green bucket. So that huge stack just to the left of the green is all our takeout containers before we did Rogue to Go. So we are reusing those as well. So the other thing that is also important is how you bring your vegetables, your groceries home. So we have a really nice collection of bags that we're very proud of, that we've collected over the years. And we always get compliments about them, and that adds to the positive feedback loop, which is what we're trying to build. The other thing that we do in our household is we try and use reusable containers. So our spices, we get the tare weight of the container weighed at the front of the store, and then we go fill up with spices, and then we have our spices, and we really haven't bought a spice bottle in quite some time now. We also go and use, we try and reduce packaging for soaps and things like toothpaste. So I found this toothpaste that I don't have to buy toothpaste tubes anymore. Things that you can buy in bulk: shampoo, spices, nuts, raisins, cereal, rice. It's all very good. So one last thing, let me just say, I feel very strongly that no ingredient in the products of our household or anybody's household should contain palm oil. What is considered a common ingredient for hand lotions, makeup, soaps, conditioners, shampoos, and foods. Palm oil isn't like corn. In order to get palm oil in volume, they have to tear down precious tropical rainforest territory, and they're displacing a lot of habitat, and they're tearing down whole jungles just to plant more of that stuff, that tiny little ingredient that you probably wouldn't even miss if it wasn't there. So I don't need anything that badly enough to drive so many species into extinction from loss of habitat. That's just one of the kinds of animals that are impacted by our appetite for this lovely silky palm oil. One thing about eating locally and composting is that these multiple actions that we can take. By eating locally, we're increasing support for our local economy along with our local resilience, and while we're reducing the carbon footprint of food transportation as well. So the same goes for composting. We're increasing local soil quality, and we're also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So that's why I think eating locally and composting are two really easy, strong things that we can do to help. So I've done a lot of talking, so let me just recap here. Having an Eat Me First section, taking inventory when you're preparing your shopping list before you go shopping, plan meals while you're preparing your shopping list, and then use some impulse restraint at the store. Do composting, limit spontaneous takeout or eating out events to avoid too many leftovers, and then do occasional improvisational meals to address some of the items that have been left behind, find ways to utilize surpluses through freezing or converting to sauces or giving it away, purchase in bulk to avoid single-use packaging, use reusable or compostable food containers when possible, eat organic, eat locally supplied food, and avoid products with palm oil. Thanks for the opportunity to share what I feel passionate about and what I am proud of. Please check out our Southern Oregon Food Solutions website and consider signing up for the quarterly newsletter. So that's my plug.